Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive, kind of mind-bending gap between ancient Eastern philosophy and modern quantum physics. We're going to see how bridging these two worlds might actually solve a totally timeless human mystery. And honestly, it could completely change how we look at human potential. So let's just jump right in. Where does natural talent actually come from? If it's not just their immediate environment or pure genetics, what's really going on? Think about child prodigies for a second. How on earth does a 5-year-old compose a full symphony or innately understand incredibly complex math without ever setting foot in a classroom? How do some people just have these extraordinary skills they literally never formally learned in this lifetime? All right, Section 1, Chapter 10, Divine Glories. To find our first major clue, we actually have to look way back, over 2,000 years back, to the battlefields of the Mahabharata. Specifically, we're looking at Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is known as Vibhuti Yoga. Now, according to this ancient text, anything we look at and perceive as an exceptional, unexplainable talent in someone, it's actually a direct spark of cosmic energy. It's a manifestation of a much higher universal splendor. But here's the kicker. It is absolutely not just some random lottery. The text gets incredibly specific about exactly how this manifests in a human life. Moving right along to Section 2, Powers from Past Practice. So how do these specific powers actually show up? Well, it's definitely not an arbitrary gift. Take a look at the term siddhas. This refers to beings who possess extraordinary, honestly almost miraculous powers. And the text makes a massive point to say they have these powers from birth strictly because of japas, or dedicated practice in previous births. A perfect example of this is the ancient sage Kapila, the founder of Sankhya philosophy. His absolute genius wasn't just a lucky accident. It was a direct inheritance from his own hard work in prior lifetimes. In the absolute simplest terms, the Gita is telling us that what looks like a random, lucky, natural talent to you and me is actually the accumulated, perfectly conserved result of intense effort from a previous state of existence. That prodigy isn't somehow magically learning to play the piano for the first time at 4 years old. They are literally just accessing a mastery they already achieved before. Their talent? It's basically a massive withdrawal from a cosmic bank account they filled up a long, long time ago. Which brings us to Section 3, the quantum soul, bridging the gap. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking. Past lives and cosmic bank accounts might sound a bit like pure mysticism, but let's ground this in the fundamental rules of our universe. Think about the first law of thermodynamics. It states that energy is completely indestructible. If you burn a log of wood, the energy trapped inside isn't destroyed when it turns to ash. No, it just transforms, right, into heat and light. The total amount of energy in the universe stays exactly the same. And wow, this perfectly mirrors the Gita's core concept of an indestructible soul, the Atman, simply discarding an old, worn-out body for a brand new form without ever losing its fundamental essence. Just look at how incredibly neatly this ancient philosophy translates into modern science. On the left side, the language of the ancients. We have the Atman, the soul, and karma, which are the results of our actions. On the right side, the language of modern physics. We have conserved quantum information and entropy. In quantum physics, information about a particle's state is literally never truly lost. The Atman acts exactly like this conserved quantum information. And karma, well, that acts as the entropy. It's the measure of disorder or that scrambled noise within the system that dictates exactly how the information reorganizes itself next. It is literally the exact same concept, just described in two completely different languages, separated by thousands of years. How cool is that? If we think about this like a computer system, it becomes incredibly practical to grasp. Your core energy information, your Atman, is basically the eternal software. It holds all your data, all your past practice, your japas. The physical body? That's just the temporary hardware. When the hardware eventually breaks down, the software doesn't die with it. It just reboots on new hardware. In the physics world, this is known as unitary evolution. It's this logical quantum rule where the future state perfectly follows from the past state without dropping a single byte of data. All right, Section 4, Conserving Energy and Information. So because quantum information is strictly conserved, physicists argue this information persists even if it gets sucked into a black hole, the data of your past practice permanently carries over. But wait,
The connections go even deeper than that. In modern physics, we have this mind-blowing concept called quantum entanglement, where particles remain instantly connected across vast cosmic distances. Albert Einstein famously called this spooky action at a distance because it completely baffled him. Yet thousands of years before Einstein, Chapter 7 of the Gita vividly described this exact quantum unity. It stated that all of existence is connected to one universal source, resting upon it just like pearls strung on a thread. The whole universe is just one giant, deeply interconnected information network.
That leads us to Section 5. No effort is ever wasted.
Let's bring all this mind-bending physics back down to Earth and our daily lives, because there's a profoundly practical lesson here about resilience. Since energy and information are perfectly conserved in this universe, the Gita promises us that absolutely no good effort is ever wasted. So if you're struggling to learn a new coding language right now, or you're out there drilling your backhand in tennis, or maybe you just faced a huge setback at work today, that effort isn't gone. It's not wasted. It is simply being stored right now in your eternal software. It's saved data that is actively becoming the foundation of your future brilliance.
Since modern quantum science and the ancient wisdom of the Gita completely agree that your current efforts are actively programming your future abilities, the only real question left to answer is this. If the universe never deletes your progress, what kind of code are you choosing to write today? Seriously, think about that the next time you sit down to practice something hard. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.